Hey everyone, welcome back. We're going to be continuing our character creation process using the 1d10 system. In the previous video, we covered concept and background, and now we're going to be covering step 2, which is our attributes, what they mean for your character, how to assign them, and any derived attributes that characteristics that come from those attributes. So let's head over to attributes. So as part of character creation, you will get to assign your character's base attributes. There are 3 attributes, physical, mental, and social, and you have 6 points to spend across all 3. All attributes start at 0, and each point increases an attribute by 1. By the end of the process, no attribute can be 0 or above 3. 2 is considered average, and 7 is the absolute maximum you can increase an attribute. So as your character levels up and you gain access to more attribute increases or features that increase them, you can only raise it to a maximum of 7. Let's have a look at what your attributes actually mean. So physical represents your strength, dexterity, survivability, and combat prowess. It affects the kinds of armor and weapons you can wield in combat, how well you navigate the wild, your natural athleticism, survival, stealth, and dexterity, manual dexterity. A score of 1 represents someone who's pretty scrawny, weak, and uncoordinated, while 7 represents someone who's in peak physical condition. For your mental attribute represents your intellect, awareness, magical affinity, and how well you can manipulate your magic, ability to notice key details or clues, and your competency with arcana, medicine, law, and the environment around you. A value of 1 represents someone who's unobservant or dim-witted, while something like a value of 7 would represent someone who borders on being a genius. Similarly, for social, it represents your charisma, your leadership, and street smarts. It'll affect how well you influence and deceive other creatures, sense other creatures' motives and intentions, entertain and sway crowds, and your ability to navigate urban areas. So a score of 1 would represent someone who struggles to express themselves, is a bit shy and reserved, while a score of 7 represents someone who could lead a nation and is very confident in themselves and in public speaking roles. When you're determining your attributes, let's just do that for our character. So let's continue with our previous character that we started here, Ignis Fireheart. Looking at our character's concept, we can see that they're from a noble background, they're an inquisitor, part of an order, maybe they grew up in a large city, and they very strongly hold to their oath. They've got a very good education, and they can be a bit bossy and confident. So just right off the bat, we can see that most likely from our concept, our mental and social are probably going to be our highest attributes, while physical might take a bit of a back seat. So let's do that. So maybe what we can do is we've got 6 points, so let's just assign them. So 3 for mental, representing our ability to be good investigators. We're very observant, quite smart and have a very good education. Maybe average with our social ability, so our abilities to be able to entertain and influence other creatures and determine their motivations, and our ability to navigate around the city. And maybe 1 would be appropriate for our physical attributes. It's not something that we spent a lot of energy in. We always had other people maybe doing those things for us, doing a lot of the heavy lifting, especially given our noble background. And this could represent a really good spread for our character. Now, your attributes actually represent many of these stats in this particular section here. So what we're going to do is let's derive all the attributes that we can from all our characteristics based on the attributes that we've chosen here. So to do that, what we do is we head over to the character creation section, and on this following page, there's a section called Derived Characteristics. And this will allow us to determine our expertise bonus, attack bonus, defense rating, armor, hit points, willpower, and later we'll cover our skill check bonus once we get to our skills section. But first, let's determine our expertise bonus. This is derived from the leveling up table, which indicates what your expertise bonus is at level 1. So a level 1 creature has an expertise of +1, and as you level up, you can see your expertise bonus naturally increases. So let's pop that on our character sheet. So expertise bonus is +1. And now that we've covered that, let's see how we determine our attack bonus. So your attack bonus is determined by your base attribute plus your expertise bonus. And there's 1 for each attribute. So in this instance, our attack bonus for physical is our attack bonus plus our expertise bonus, and it's written with a plus in front of it because it's a modifier. Same thing for our mental would mean that we get a +4, and for this one would be +3 using the same process. Popping back over again to our derived characteristics. Our defense rating is determined by, once again, there's 1 for each of our attributes. A defense rating starts at 5, and then you add your base attribute and your expertise bonus. So simply done. We start with 5, we add our base attribute, and then we add our expertise bonus. And that gives us a score of 7 for our defense for physical. For mental, it'll be the same thing. 3 plus 5 plus 1 gives us a score of 9. And for social, our defense would be 8. So now that we've derived those, we can determine our hit points, HP, and our willpower, WP. Our hit points are determined by calculating twice your character level plus your base physical attribute. So for our character level is 1, so we can put that down at 2, and then we add our physical attribute, which is 1. So that gives us a hit points of 3. For our willpower, it's the same process, except we're adding our base social attribute. So twice your character level plus your base social attribute. So character level of 1, double it for 2, and then add our social attribute. So it's 2 plus 2 gives us an attribute of 4. Finally, we can determine our armor rating. So for armor rating, similar to defense, we have a base of 5, then you add your physical attribute, and then the armor you're wearing also adds to your armor rating. Now, we haven't gone and purchased any armor yet because we haven't gotten to step 7, which is where we get our equipment, but we can certainly put in a base value and then modify this once we complete step 7. So let's do that. So our armor rating starts at 5, and then we add our physical attribute, which is 1, and then if we're wearing any armor, we would add that on top. So our base armor rating is 6. DR stands for damage reduction. Our creature at level 1 will not have any damage reduction at all, so we just mark that down with a dash, or we can just leave it blank. Our temp hit points is only used when certain special abilities are activated, which will give you temporary hit points, and we'll cover that in combat and other later sections of the game. So that covers all that we need to know for our attributes. We'll be moving on to the next section, which will be ancestry. So I'll see you then. Thanks.